So welcome to this workout group. We will start meeting in several minutes. Thank you. So welcome again. So we just wait several minutes because more people will come in. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you again. So good afternoon again. I think there are misunderstanding regarding the time. Actually, the original time is there 2:30, but I think outside shows 2:45. We will start at 2:40 because we need to finish this one also early, and then we can go back to the plenary. So therefore, we will start at 2:40. Yeah. Thank you again. Just in several minutes. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome of you to join in the section 3 and deep dive into life cycle refrigerant management, break-up group 3, destruction of the refrigerant. So we will start the meeting. Welcome all of you. The main objective of the break-up group is to discuss the destruction technology for refrigerants. This is a very important component for the life cycle refrigerant management, and we will discuss the technology in detail. As you can see in the agenda, there are totally 6 items for the afternoon section, including the opening part now, and follow up with the overview presentation. And then we will have a poll with the 2 questions, focusing on the challenging phase in your country on ODS waste final destruction, and also the solutions, how to address those challenges. And then the last but not least is wrap up of the section. My name is Yunri Zhou, Industrial Development Officer of Montreal Protocol Unit UNIDO. It's my great pleasure and honor to moderate this section, and together with 2 experts, Kylie Falali and also Helen. Ms. Kelly is a member of the Refrigeration Technical Operation Committee of the Montreal Protocol, and also co-member of the TIP Task Force on the life cycle refrigerant management. Kelly is also the General Manager of the Refrigerant Reclaim Australia. This is a product still safe organization of Australia for the refrigerant management in industry. They have more than 20 years working experience, especially very close relationship with the industry. Today, he will give an overview presentation and also facilitate discussion with all of you. And Ms. Helen is also a member of the KEEP, and she is also co-chair of the Multi-Protocol Foam Technical Operation Committee. As the Global Director of Policy and Advocacy for TRIM Technologies, Helen also worked in the refrigeration, foam, and environment protection for nearly 30 years in different countries. Today, she will facilitate the discussion with all of you and also conclude the discussion today. According to our agenda, we will firstly allow me to welcome Kelly to give an overview presentation on the destruction technology. The floor with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to the session on destruction. I thought I'd start with defining what destruction is in the Montreal Protocol. So destruction is the crucial and final step in mitigating refrigerant emissions from contaminated, unwanted or redundant refrigerant. The TEEP LRM report defines destruction as the process when applied to controlled substances that results in the permanent transformation or decomposition of all or a significant portion of such substances. The destruction process involves breaking down the chemical constituents whilst effectively managing any harmful byproducts. The Montreal Protocol has established a list of approved destruction technologies for the purpose of production data reporting and also includes minimum destruction removal efficiencies, known as DRE. Destruction removal efficiencies and environmental performance may vary significantly between individual facilities using the same technologies. Some parties and subnational jurisdictions require the use of the Montreal Protocol approved destruction technologies and minimum destruction removal efficiencies, even when controlled substances are not credited to production. The technologies that are available and accessible for the destruction of end-of-life refrigerants can be classified into three categories: thermal oxidization, plasma technologies, and the cement kiln. Thermal oxidization, or incineration, is the use of a controlled flame combustion to destroy substances in an engineered device. These systems are usually integrated into process plants for halogenated byproduct destruction. Plasma arc technology is long established and has been used since the 1990s to effectively destroy ODS and HFC refrigerants. Both argon and nitrogen plasma arc technology operates by way of pyrolysis. Cement kilns are identified as one of the most common methods for refrigerant destruction in A5 parties due to their accessibility and affordability. It is estimated that more than 2,500 cement plants could potentially be used for managing waste, including the destruction of refrigerants, according to a GIZ report. Before destruction can occur, LRM policies, infrastructure, and good practice is required. To safely and adequately implement LRM practices requires capacity building, which involves training technicians to recover refrigerant rather than venting, to handle the safety issues, as well as developing local infrastructure, equipment, tools, and facilities. The required tools include leak detectors, cylinders, recovery equipment, recycling equipment, testing and analysis, centralised reclamation facilities and destruction facilities. Often in this platform, reverse supply chain infrastructure is discussed at length. So I wanted to explain what that means. The reverse supply chain infrastructure is essential in establishing effective LRM practices as it enables the collection of recovered refrigerant. It uses new or established distribution infrastructure in reverse for the purposes of recovering, reusing, reclaiming, and disposing of used refrigerant. Think about how refrigerant is distributed in your country for the purposes of installing or servicing air conditioning, refrigeration, and heat pump equipment. Now think of using that same distribution channel in reverse to collect the refrigerants. This is what is meant by reverse supply chain. There are many challenges. A5 parties, and especially low volume consuming parties, lack or have inadequate LRM infrastructure. Or some larger industrialised A5 parties may have more developed infrastructure. They often require upgrades or replacements of their existing tools, equipment to improve the LRM. The primary commercial restraint in destroying refrigerant is recovering large enough volumes of refrigerant to support capital investment for destruction, unless refrigerants are destroyed at facilities that destroy other chemicals or utilising cement kilns. Significant benefits could arise from A5 parties working together in regional groups to set up capital-intensive, integrated reclamation and destruction infrastructure. The transboundary movement of waste under the Basel Convention is burdensome and requires a coordinated approach. For those that aren't familiar with the Basel Convention, it's the control of transboundary movements of hazardous wastes and its disposal in an international treaty that was designed to reduce the movement of hazardous waste between nations and specifically to prevent the transfer of hazardous wastes from developed countries to less developed countries. The availability and accessibility of destruction technology also needs to be considered. Currently, there is adequate global capacity for destruction, but it is unevenly distributed between non-A5 and A5 parties. It can be anticipated that destruction technology may improve in cost, scalability, mobility, and efficiency in the future. This will depend on the timely acceleration and effectiveness of LRM and the HFC phase down more generally, as well as the availability of finance to support the management of these legacy waste streams. The cost of destruction technologies. The costs that you see displayed on the screen are indicative and historical capital expenditure expenses, or CapEx costs, to demonstrate the scale and the range of the investment required in destruction technologies. Additional costs need to be considered, operational expenditure costs, which will vary considerably from country to country or from facility to facility. Operational costs cover equipment running costs, maintenance, labour, energy consumption, quality control, administrative costs, and byproduct management. So to conclude, and looking forward, we can anticipate that destruction technology may improve in cost, scalability, mobility, and efficiency to respond to the growing market need for end-of-life management of refrigerants. This will depend on the timely acceleration and effectiveness of LRM and HFC phase down, as well as the finance to support the management of the legacy waste streams. Significant benefits could arise from A5 parties working together in regional groups to set up capital-intensive, integrated reclamation and destruction infrastructure. Cement kilns offer a cost-effective method for destruction as they are both accessible and affordable. Transboundary movement could be done more efficiently and cost-effectively while potentially reducing emissions with a coordinated approach. Thank you. I'll hand back to Henri for the poll.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Haley, for your very informative presentation. You give us detailed introduction about the destruction technologies, including the cement kiln, plasma arc, incineration, and also discuss regarding the accessibility, availability, but also the cost of the different technology. I think this is very, very useful for today's discussion. And later on, we will have the Q&A section, and then we directly go to the next section of today's break-up group discussion, the poll. Actually, we will have a poll with 2 questions. These 2 questions orientate the methodology of the design thinking. I don't know, maybe how many of you heard about the design thinking. The design thinking is an interactive process that the team will use to understand the challenging substance, redefine problem, and also create innovative solutions to address those challenges. And it's very useful to tackle unknown problem and also involve the 4 steps you can see here, including the state problem, validate problem, and identify solutions and validate solutions. For today's meeting, because we totally have 15 minutes for discussion, so therefore we prepare the proposed 10 problem and also 10 solutions in advance. And we will vote for that through 2 polls. You can see this is a poll regarding the first poll regarding what the challenging faced in your country on refrigerant waste final destruction. Totally, we identified 10 potential challenges, and if you find more, then you can also add in others. You can scan the QR code on the right side and do the code. There are also another question regarding what the main solutions to environmentally sound management of the ODS waste, especially the final destruction in your country. We also identified 10 potential solutions. And of course, if you have more suggestions, also add in others. And after we have the results, your valuable feedback, the results, and we will discuss in detail, one by one. For example, the prioritize 3 challenges and also prioritize 3 solutions. We will discuss and would like to invite you to share your story, your insight, your experience on those things. And hope this is will be very, very useful. Because this is a discussion, I really appreciate that you can proactively participate in the this 2 poll. Let's see what the result of the poll. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I give you 5 minutes to finish this poll. If you have some technical problem to scan this one or to give the answer, my colleague also can help you to do that. Yeah. So let's see how many. Okay. Yeah. So let's see how many responses we already received so far. 9, 11, yeah, 14. Yeah, we have another 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, I really appreciate you can provide your feedback and your inputs for this discussion, and this will be very helpful for this group discussion. Thank you very much. 22. 25. This let's wait for another 1 minute for the poll, and then we can start the discussion. I will invite all of you to give their feedback regarding the top three challenges faced in the country on the ODS waste. You can share your story in your country, why those challenges you think is most important in your country. And of course, later on we also share, we want to listen from you that what the potential solutions to address these challenges. Of course, you also can discuss the others, what you vote here. So thank you very much. I mean, according to your feedback, valuable feedback, we identified three most prioritized challenges. This is including number one, is insufficient financial resources. Number two, lack of adequate infrastructure. Number three is the lack of available technology. Yeah. I want to give the floor to you, focusing on these top three challenging faced, but also the others. We want to hear why you think this is most challenging. Is any volunteer want to start? Or that to share your experience? You can raise your hand or you can put the button in front of your desk, and then we will see, we will give the floor to you. Is anyone want to share, according to this feedback and also your experience? I think this will be very helpful for our discussion.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, Madam shared the cost of setting up, different types of destruction facilities. Can you share some estimate of what is the cost of destruction per kilo in each of these methodologies, whether it's thermal oxidation or it is using the cement kilns, approximately what is the cost? And then we can come to the financing part, the constraints that we face. For example, the biggest constraint we face today is getting the throughput of recovered material. Because there is no money to pay to the people to incentivize it, we are not able to collect refrigerants. So even if we set up an infrastructure, the flow of recovered material is difficult to ensure and thereby justify the viability of such an investment.
Before Haley answers the question, could you give a brief introduction about yourself? Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah. My apologies, I missed that. I'm Sanjay Mathur, working for AGAS, based out of India.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Haley.
Okay, thank you for your question and being brave enough to be the first to ask the question. We didn't include specific technologies or cost of technologies because it varies so rapidly between the regions and even between facilities. Obviously, the cost per kilo of destruction for many of these technologies will decrease with volume. But it's such a broad question, and depending on the technology you use and what you're using as byproducts or neutralisation agents, that was just a matrix that was too difficult to adequately capture in the report. So we focused on the capital expenditure rather than the operational expenditure. For the purposes of the report.
There was a range included, Kylie, but it wasn't specific. So $2 to $20 per kg was included as a range. There were shipping costs as well. And of course, that's dependent on whether you're shipping outside the country or within.
Yeah, please. Yeah, Camelo.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Mboaisen from Cameroon, as an officer. Much more concern. I just want to find out from the presenter, did you manage to get information from Article 5 country to see the technology applying? Because I thought it's important for us to know what is available and what we can, if at all, we can adapt. That's one. I just want equally to highlight here that I always see you talking about the Basel Convention. Within African region, we have the Bamako Convention, which is more stricter. Bamako is more very strict, and it becomes very, very difficult for us to move waste or hazardous waste water from one country to the other. How do we envisage that in this case? Thank you.
Did you write any questions on that? Please. Okay. Let's start with the Basel Convention. Yes, I think we all acknowledge that it's a burdensome process and can be prohibitive. In the report, there's suggestions that a coordinated approach between the regions and to managing the Basel Convention requirements and understanding the specifics in each region would be useful to simplify that process. And your other question, I'm sorry, can I ask you to repeat that, please?
Thank you. I'm just talking about you talked about Basel Convention while equally insisting on the Bamako Convention. So within the African region, which is more stricter, how do you envisage to overcome this? Because it becomes difficult, especially for technology transfer.
Helen, want to? Yeah.
Can we talk about technology transfer or the transfer of? I think, so I think this was one of the areas in the report where we did highlight that parties may wish to consider perhaps some conversation around the Basel Convention to ease that burden and perhaps, and we did not discuss this second point in the report, so that may be an area for discussion in the future as well. And that's a terrible answer. But we don't have the answer, so.
Question.
It's a good question.
So thank you very much, Kelly and Helen. Is there any other question or any feedback or inputs regarding those challenging phase? I think we can spend another, according to the time, another 10 minutes for discuss regarding the challenging, and then we go to the solutions. Is anyone like to share your experience? Or Egypt, please.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. And my name is Izzat Lewis. I am the Ozone Officer of Egypt. We have some cement kiln in our country. And as we are talking about the challenges, how can we convince the owner of those kiln to accept to destroy the unused refrigerant? And as I understand, you need to do some retrofitting for the kiln. It's not just as it is. So who will pay the cost if you have a small quantity and the cost is already, I can see, up to 100,000 US. So, I mean, this is a challenge actually. How can we solve this problem? And who can do the retrofitting? The factory itself, or it needs an international expert or company to assist the technical assistant of the retrofitting? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Egypt, and maybe, Kelly, would like to respond to this? Yeah.
I can try to respond. With the retrofitting of the cement kiln, it would require engineering experience. I don't, and I speak not for the LRM task force on this. I speak in my capacity as the General Manager of Refrigerant Reclaim Australia, as we use cement kiln technology in Australia. The retrofit is a relatively simple process, but it would require engineering capability. So it's not something that the destruction facility, the cement kiln would normally have in-house.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Actually, Dr. Isaac, you also know that the multilateral fund secretariat also support the country to develop the inventory and the national action plan on the ODS waste. And under this project, this is start of the ODS waste final destruction. It was suggested to do some of the gap analysis in the country regarding their both the infrastructure and also the technology, as you mentioned, the cement kiln co-processing in Egypt, and also we can consider, for example, regarding during the gap analysis, we can do analysis regarding what the next step for the retrofitting of their facilities and also the cost, potential costs. And then with those things, this could be included in the national action plan for the next step. In the future, if the multilateral fund secretariat open a new funding window for final disposal, we can propose this proposal, including, their detailed activities on the retrofit, but also both from the private sector side, but also from the government regarding their regulatory framework and also the licensing and those things include, but also including the cost for that. I think this could be an integrated program and for the country to consider to propose and for the future intervention. This is my intervention, yeah.
Sir, would you have an estimate of the cost of retrofitting in a cement kiln?
I just quickly answer this question from myself. We have some pilot projects in the country. Actually, this is the main idea is to do the retrofitting, but also the testing, regarding the destruction rate. Somehow depends on the capacity of the cement kiln, something between 500,000 to 1 million if you do a small pilot project. But if you want to change the whole cement plant, maybe the more budget needed. But this is some of the cost. But I think the colleague from other country could also share their experience regarding the cost, because this is a case by case. But I think this is also costly. But of course, maybe Haley, you can add that.
So I think you summed that up quite well. It is a case by case and it will vary significantly from country to country, so difficult to qualify.
We give to another country and then go back to Cameroon. It's okay. Yeah, this, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Coach.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Just want to know the instruction that we were talking about. Are we talking about ODS and the ODS containing equipment? Because these are two issues to handle. I want us to separate the two, or maybe I don't know the cost we're talking about, the equipment contain ODS and the ODS itself. Thank you.
For this section, I think we are focusing on the refrigerant. Of course, the disassembling of the equipment containing the ODS also is a part, but the upstream, but this is regarding their WEEE waste treatment. But I think this section discusses mainly focusing on the destruction of the refrigerant that from their, of course, their equipment containing their ODS waste. Yeah. Thank you. And I give the floor to, that colleague. Yeah, please.
Thank you. It's from UNDP Field Office, Turkey, Ecem. I have a comment and question as well. First of all, thank you for this informative session. It's a really good presentation. Regarding the responses, poll responses, I fully agree the insufficient financial resources is a major challenge. That's right. But without creating any demand from the market, it's a bit useless investments. I mean, what I mean is, for example, from our case in Turkey, there are capacity for destruction, but without any that they. I mean, the sector doesn't have any demand to destruct their refrigerants. So, without any demand, the further investments and financial resources would be useless. I think, in my opinion, and my question is about the polluter pays principle. After the reclamation facility, for example, who should pay if the refrigerant is not suitable for reclamation? They need to distract their unsuitable refrigerants, collected refrigerants, but who should pay for this? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, UNDP, for your feedback. Yes, regarding the demand from the market, I think the mandatory recovery, recycling, reclamation, this is also one of the regulatory part instruments, could also incentive the private sector to try to do the recovery, recycling, reclamation, and afterward their waste generated could be sent to their final destruction for the final disposal. Regarding the second question regarding the polluter paid principle, and I think Kelly can share some experience from Australia, how this was solved. I think this will give you some reference for this.
Yeah, thank you for your question. With regards to the polluter pays, the TEEP LRM report discusses various different models of how LRM practices have been implemented by different parties. And they provide different models, basically extending from an extended producer responsibility type model to fees, levies, and different things. So I think it suggests that if you're looking for inspiration, to refer to the LRM report.
Thank you, Haley, very much. Thank you very much for this one. We have another 1 minute for this part regarding the challenging. I really appreciate that you can just feel free to share your questions or experience inputs regarding what do you think about those challenges that we jointly identified here. And I think this will be also useful for us to jointly find a solution how to address this one. Is anyone want to share? If no, we go to the next part regarding the solutions to address those ODS waste in your country. Let's see, the number one solution is strengthening national regulation and enforcement. Firstly, thank you very much for your votes. We have this 19 people think this is most important. Second is regarding the enhancing financial incentive from Multilateral Fund Secretariat. The third one is promoting the adoption of the best available technologies. Again, I would like to open the floor again for all of you to share your experience, why you think those solutions is most important in your country, but of course you also can elaborate other potential solutions you think this is relevant. I just opened the floor, and who is volunteer want to share your experience? I saw that so many Article 5 countries, but also Article 2 countries, because the solutions, some of the solutions from Article 2 countries are also widely used. I also really appreciate that you can share your experience with all, and I think this will be very helpful for this break-up group discussion. There are others. Okay. Yeah, Egypt, please. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I agree that enhancing the financial mechanism incentives from the multilateral fund is very important, actually. But the more important, how to achieve the sustainability, because normally after the receiving some financial fund and the sustainability needs mobilization of more funds. So this is also a challenge actually for some country. Yeah, maybe for other country, it's not a challenge if they have, I mean, like Article 2 country, but I'm talking for some Article 5 country. So how to achieve this sustainability or a robust mechanism that can sustainable? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Isaacs. Yeah, I think you point out a very good question regarding the sustainability of the for the final destruction. For example, Simon King or the others. After the demonstration project, how the result of the project could be sustainable. Private sector can use that for long term, but at the same time, there are sufficient of the refrigerant will be sent to the facility for the final destruction. This is very, very important. Issues. I think there are a lot of good experience from the Article 2 countries, because in the last 20 or 30 years, a lot of efforts spent for that to support both from the refrigerant side, but also the disposal side, and how to make this one economically feasible. And there's Simon King or their disposal facility, they can also benefit from that. Maybe I would like to give you to share your experience from Australia, but maybe other country would like to share your experience, how this one could be sustainable in the long term.
Okay. So again, I can speak to the Australian model because it's one that I'm very familiar with. In Australia, we've been operating life cycle refrigerant management for 30 years. So we've been collecting refrigerants, disposing of refrigerants and everything for 30 years. It started off with ODS and it expanded in 2002 to include HFC. The model that is used in Australia is one that's heavily supported by a regulatory infrastructure with policy and regulations. And it's funded essentially by the industry. Now, in Australia, we don't have manufacturing of refrigerants, which makes it a little easier. So the model that basically funds the program, or the different elements of the program, is, so we start off with an import license. Okay, to import refrigerant of any type, synthetic refrigerants, into Australia, you must have an import licence. Now, with the government, the Australian government implements that licence and requires, they put a small levy on each kilo of refrigerant that's imported into Australia, and that funds the government's participation and administration into the scheme. So that the money that's generated from the import of refrigerants runs the refrigerant management program from an administrative perspective. With the licence comes conditions. So with your import licence, there are conditions, one of which is to be a member of a product stewardship scheme. The product stewardship scheme again is required a levy based on every kilo that's imported into Australia, and that funds the running of the program, the administration, financial incentives for people to recover refrigerant, and it also pays for commercial entities to destroy refrigerant. So the model works based on essentially a user pays model. If you want to sell refrigerant in Australia, you have an obligation, and the small levy attached to each kilo funds the administration, the collection, the incentive, small financial incentive, and the destruction.
Thank you very much, Kelly, for your experience. Yeah, I think this is really good answer. Where is the new source of the fund for the disposal, for the final destruction of the ODS waste? The levy of the imported refrigerants, this will provide their funding source, but at the same time, the mandatory recovery, recycling, and the reclamation and disposal to ensure those ones could be sent to the private sector for the final destruction. This is solve the issue both there where the how this refrigerant could be sent for the final disposal, if not possible for reclamation. But at the same time, they also solve the issue regarding the financial part. Who will pay for that? I hope this is one of the good example for Egypt and other Article 5 country to consider. I also see India. Yeah, again. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much. Mohamed Jijli from Tunisia, Environmental Protection Agency. Okay. I just have one procedure remark regarding the questionnaire, and then I have the questions. I think that the two questions regarding problem and solutions are the same questions. You just develop what we call Ishikawa diagram, or the tree of problems, and then you have to switch it to find the solution. And also the first questions are not mutually exclusive. Therefore, you don't find you'll find always what we call a bias in statistics. In any way, I think that the second questions, now it's, the responses are more objective and reveal the situation better than the first question of problems. And I personally think, I might be wrong, of course, that the root cause, what we call the root cause, are the awareness and regulations. Then all the rest comes later on, okay? But my questions, and I believe that Australia have a very rich experience, and we can inspire from that. In Tunisia, we want to run what we call a pilot project regarding this type of destruction with cement plants and cement industry. And one of the problems we are facing is what we call, it's a regulation after all, the Environmental Assessment Authority, which is the EPA, which is myself. I'm finding a problem to get convinced regarding, is this operation of distracting may cause the environment? Yes, it's safe in certain aspects, but what are the impacts? And those impacts can be solved. That's why, I'm hesitating giving the authorization for this type of operations. We don't have maybe the know-how or the enough experience to allow this type of operations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tunisia. Yeah, you share this regarding awareness, regulation, and also the impact of the final destruction. I think very, very relevant opinion. I think maybe Kelly, you also could share your experience, how those things could be considered as an integrated approach for Australia, and how this will address. Thank you.
That's a really good question, and one that we haven't covered in the report. So again, I'll speak on behalf of my experience in Australia. Under the regulations or legislation that governs everything we do with the Montreal Protocol, there are requirements on destruction facilities. The first is that they need to meet the destruction removal efficiency as in line with the Montreal Protocol handbook. That's not true for all parties, but in Australia that is certainly something that's enforced. So to be an approved product stewardship, approved destruction facility, you must meet the DRE in line with the Montreal Protocol. There's requirements to do stack monitoring, so atmospheric monitoring, on that annually to make sure it meets those requirements. We use plasma arc technology. We also use a cement kiln. For the plasma arc technology, there's also regional requirements based on states. So we've got the federal government talking about the destruction approval, removal efficiencies, and then we have local or regional governments that that will also, under the environmental protection authorities, test any water and what we call off-gas emissions to meet a certain standard. And then we have even smaller jurisdiction, which puts conditions on the amount of salts and contaminants that we can introduce into the water as a byproduct before it gets sent to the desalination plant. So there's many levels, so starting from federal government, which covers the whole country, to state government down to local government, monitoring different elements of the destruction facility and the waste products.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah. I hope this addresses your question. Yeah, yeah please. Yeah, please, Helen.
There are some examples in the report. There's a little section in the report that describes destruction technologies around the world. There's an example in Vietnam for a multinational company that was formally qualified to destroy persistent organic pollutants, so POPs, like PCB and pesticides. There are also some examples. There was a project in Mexico. So there are some examples in the report, if that's helpful at all. I think, but I think that Kylie has provided some of the information around some of the emissions testing that has been required in some locations that kind of helps, as well as to water waste that may be helpful for your consideration.
Thank you very much, Helen. Yeah, this is also a good suggestion that some of the other pilot projects under the other convention for the hydro waste disposal use their similar facility, for example, cement chemical processing or the incinerator. This also could be considered. We have another 10 minutes to open the floor for this one. I would like to really appreciate that you can just want to ask the questions regarding the three prioritized solutions, but others. What do you think? Yeah, what do you think about that? Your insight is very, very helpful for this discussion. Yeah. Who would want to share your experience?
Sir,
yeah, please. Yeah.
Is there a list of cement kilns country-wise which are TEEP approved for undertaking this destruction?
So in the report, in the LRM report, there's a list of locations where cement kilns are in use. The TEEP, I should mention that TEEP doesn't approve destruction technologies. But there is a list there that describes some of that. It was estimated, I think, 2,600 cement kilns, 2,500 cement kilns around the world might be able to destroy fluorocarbons successfully and meet the destruction standards.
Would you have a country-wise breakup of that? Maybe not name the specific cement kilns, but
yeah, it's in the report. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Thanks, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you very much. Yeah, Camilo, yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you. I have the same opinion like the Director General of Tunisia about the problem solve and problem tree approach. But I still want to think that you're talking about strengthening national regulations. I remember last 2 years, there was this issue of we talking about shifting technology, call it abandoned technology, or call it waste dumping in Africa. And it was an issue was debated here, and we all looked at it. But I think this aspect is one of the major areas moving towards that direction. The technology we are talking about here, we don't have, I mean, the three plasma act, rotatory kiln and the cement kiln. If we do, it's very difficult to assess. One of the issues like what Egypt said, who takes over, who can, do they go collect, or is there a scheme that we can really need to motivate them? Because all of this destruction, they need this money. Like you said, Madam, we want to bundle it in to come in when you're talking about POPs. In the case of POPs in my country, it's actually people come and collect. I mean, you have a French company that comes and collects within the Basel Commission is taken to France. And we thought giving that approach to could be same consideration in the ODS could be a problem, because you remember as we are going gradually facing down HFCs, it will be a huge issue. How do you handle the issue in the future? That's what we're trying to anticipate the problem. So can we think that the strengthening of national capacity is enough, good enough? No matter how good we can strengthen our national capacity or do enforcement, we have an issue that with what's existing right now in most of the A5 countries, this weakness, we think it should start with where the importing country, where you are importing. For example, talking about the European countries, that now they're working out their F-gases regulation and be stringent, but we think that with time, maybe in a few years' time, all of these things will get them in Africa because of how weak. Are we saying that the policy are not good enough? It's because when you leave it loose, the area, it's very easy for us to get to the other side. No matter how strong, we don't have the same knowledge, the same notion, how sensation, we carry sensation so far, but not all the custom officers have the same information at a particular time. So it will be these loopholes. You have this entry. So could we be looking another way? I was looking again the other part of talking about the assistance from multilateral fund. It's small compared to, but we could look for a way that we can bring the support from multilateral fund and also inciting the government to bring so that it will be like a bundle that you can now approach. But that will require serious sensitization on the part of the government to see how far to integrate that into that. No, it's already, remember the issue of this ODS is for now, some parties say it's waste, others say it's not waste. It's level of the country. It's not one solution fit all to see which one to fit on a particular country. But it becomes fitting or important when we can recycle. And we just left the issue of recycling and reclamation, which is another huge problem. How do we do that? Now, this solution now, trying to look at how to destroy now at the level of destruction. How do we handle that? I think that's where we have the real problem. And if we're not, I was asking a question about the refrigerant and the containers. If you go to most of the countries, call it A5 countries, have this pile huge of refrigerant, I mean the containers, be it refrigerator or the air conditioner, they are piled like that. And what people see, they don't see the refrigerant. They see the containers, and the whole place is blocked. How do you handle that issue? So I thought if we are looking at ODS, we should look ODS as a package. Look at ODS, the ODS itself, and also containers, because if you can resolve that one, the area will be clean. Because it's just like you said, we remember most of the refrigerant, most of the carry highest, maybe 8 grams in the container. But the whole is really huge. So how do we handle things? So I was just saying that it's something we should reflect much more deeper, because this, I call it standalone solution you proposed here, is not applicable. Maybe you have to adapt it in the country context. So I think that's just my contribution at that level. Thank you so much.
Thank you for Camilo to share this one. I think I fully agree with you. The solutions should be tailored to each of the country, case by case. Yeah, this is the first feedback. Second, that not one solution could address everything. I think there are many pillars need to go together to address this issue. So therefore, here, at least the proposed 10 solutions maybe need to go together. I think, but here we just identified most prioritized solutions for the country. We need to focus on where, start from where. But of course, the other solutions also equally important also, to address this issue, including awareness, their trainings, capacity buildings, infrastructure, but also the collection and transportation. All those things are also very, very important. But we just focusing on, let's say, which part is the starting part for today's discussion. Of course, maybe Helen, you want to give some feedback? Yeah, also. And,
Thank you very much for your comments. It's very helpful feedback and information for this discussion. Firstly, I want to say I am not aware that any party has perfectly solved this problem. That's the first thing. I think that we heard this morning that Australia gave the example. It's been a little bit step by step. They started with one aspect and added over time to kind of improve the situation. We also, this morning in this destruction session, we had a conversation about, kind of regional centers, perhaps, or there are some parties that accept waste refrigerant for destruction, and I think you made some mention of that around POPs. As one potential option, but it may take a few different things to kind of pull together solutions in this regard to address banks. And so I think, this is, as you discussed, this is a very complex problem. You've got to have recovery of the refrigerant. There's this question of, do you recycle it and reuse it again? Or do you send it out for reclamation if you don't have reclamation facilities within your country, within your party? And then, then again, at the very end of life for destruction, do you send it out? There's an estimate in the report of I think $1 billion to address, if you were to address the entire banks that are out there today. So, I think that there may be many different things that are done at the end of the day to address some of this, and it's not clear to me that any party has resolved this perfectly. Kylie, I don't know if I don't want to put you on the spot. Is there anything you want to add?
Thank you very much, Helen, for your response. Yeah, I give the floor to you, Dave, again. Yeah.
Thank you, and sorry to take the floor again. I understand there is a lot of challenges, technical and economical challenges. Now the technical challenges maybe it's solved with cement kiln or other, but the economical actually is the most challenge, the main challenge now. And this, how to make opportunity, and there is the challenges, but there is also opportunity. How to make opportunity out of these challenges. There is a cost of collection, the unused refrigerant. There is a cost for transportation from one place to other. There is a cost for the destruction. And I am thinking about the carbon credit. It can help in put some incentives to promote this business. But who will, take the advantage or who will take this benefit from the carbon credit? The last one, the destruction facility, or it has to be shared between all parties, because this is not one-man show that he can do this process alone. I mean, there are many people, they are working in a cycle who is, collecting, he's doing an effort. If he has no incentives, why he should collect, and who are transportating and who are destruction, and after all, the credit will go to one entity. So how to distribute this, how to make a robust mechanism that everyone who is taking a part, even a small part, he can also has some benefit. So the doable or the mechanism can work. Thank you very much.
Thank you for Egypt. Yeah, this is a really good point, regarding the challenging phase, but also potential opportunities. When we discuss the potential opportunities, then we need to think about what the benefits of the final destruction of the ODS waste. And you mentioned also the carbon credit, how to thinking about link the benefit with the carbon credit and to find a new source of the fund to dispose that one. I think maybe Helen, you have more experience to share that one, and I think this is a widely used approach, but very, very good. Yeah, thank you.
The report describes several different types of credits. So there are compliance credits and voluntary credits, and there are different credits with different amounts of money associated with them, and the amount of money changes over time. I think the compliance credit was $25 per kg is what we saw at one point in the writing of this report, about $25 per kilogram. But again, this changes over time, and it depends on what type of credit it is. And credits, need to be linked to a specific piece of equipment, as well as to be shown that kind of the chain of custody and confirmed destroyed. And I think, we heard this morning some discussions about negotiations around how that money is shared amongst the participants in that process. Again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's anything you want to add to this, please feel free as well. But I think there's still discussions around, how this will play out under UNFCCC. We had some discussion this morning around that piece, and but I think a lot of that is a little bit of a negotiation.
Yeah. Thank you. Maybe Kelly, you can help us maybe elaborate on the accountability and also traceability of the carbon credit. I think this will be helpful to answer this question.
Yeah, there are different requirements in order to be eligible for carbon credits. Helen mentioned the chain of custody and being able to demonstrate that traceability from where this kilo of refrigerant destroyed came from this piece of equipment. And there's a lot of record keeping and onus of proof in that process, depending on regulations in your country or regulations with the compliance market or voluntary markets that you're generating carbon credits from. There's also sometimes tests of newness. So if you have a bank of recovered refrigerant that's sitting there waiting to be destroyed, it's possibly that won't be eligible under some markets, under some conditions. It may be eligible under others. I'm not going to pretend I know all of the answers or know how it all works in every region, but it's certainly a complex, very complex discussion, and allocating the funds backwards to everybody responsible for collecting that refrigerant from this point and delivering it to this point. I certainly don't have the answer for that.
Thank you very much, Kelly. The time we're a little bit delayed, and we quickly go to if no further question, we'll quickly go to the ramp-up section. Yeah, I would like to welcome Helen to give a quick warm-up of today's discussion. Thank you.
So I think there'll be a further discussion on carbon credits after this, so maybe that will be helpful. So, what I've seen is that every possible, we are facing every possible problem in this space. And the answers are, in some cases, there are ideas and pockets of success. So certain parties have found some success in different ways. But I think all parties are still learning about refrigerant management from all the way from recovery and leak reduction to reclamation, recycling, and destruction. There's a lot yet to be learned. There is a cost associated with this, and how parties may cooperate together or use other resources may be yet to be understood and seen. But there are some certainly opportunities there where some parties specifically allow for recovered refrigerant to be imported and destroyed within their country. There are complexities around shipping and the Basel Convention. So there are still certainly many questions to be answered around this. But we greatly appreciate your participation and the learning that we've had from you, as well as hopefully the conversation with each other to bring back to the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. Before ending of today's meeting, please allow me to give applause to Kylie and Helen and also Celine for taking the note for this whole discussion. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. So I think the plenary will start, go back to the plenary room under, yeah. We will discuss the financial mechanism. Yeah, thank you very much.